What is going on, everybody? How are we all doing? And welcome back today to another City Talk video, and it's the second instalment of the City Talk Rivals mini-series. You guys absolutely seem to love the one that we did with Max last time out, Tottenham of course, and for the second one we have got with us representing Man United, the sworn enemy. It is Si. How are you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Yourself?
That's what we like to hear. Yeah, I'm not too bad despite yesterday's result. I mean, it's quite spooky that we did this with Max last week just after we'd signed Kyle Walker, and that wasn't planned at all. And then this week we've done this just after the pre-season derby, which again was not planned at all. Some people might think I know what I'm doing, but it's just a complete fluke, I promise you. But of course, Fudgy or Si, whatever you want to call him, his links will be down in the description below. Be sure to go and check him out. Also does Viv content, United content, all that kind of good stuff. So be sure to check him out. But without any further ado, I think we're going to get the ball rolling, and I'm going to start the same place that I did with Max last time out, and that is, Si, what were your thoughts on United season last season, and what do you think you need to do to improve to go to the next level?
I think, I don't think, even though we were 6th, I don't think we were that far in terms of putting together a team that's going to be able to actually challenge for titles and what have you. I mean, it showed it with the ridiculous amounts of draws we had against mid-table clubs, whereas if we'd have actually got wins there and put the ball in the back of the net, we'd have been right up there challenging Chelsea. I'm convinced of it. So I really don't think we're that far off in terms of actually building a strong enough team to challenge. Last season was a little bit frustrating at times, but we are a team in development, and hopefully this season is going to be the season where that development comes to fruition, and hopefully we can challenge whoever's going to be up there at the end of the season.
I mean, from an outsider looking in, I always find it very strange because the last couple of seasons at United, you've had the same kind of struggle where you've struggled a lot at home, haven't you, against your mid-table teams, and you seem to have lacked firepower, which whenever I look at your lineup is the one thing I think you don't lack. I mean, when I look at your team, I always think, aside from De Gea, obviously you bought in Bailly last season, it seems to have settled in quite well. I never think your defence looks that great, and I always think the one thing that you're going to do is score goals, and that was ironically the one thing you struggled with last season with your likes of Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, obviously Rooney, who didn't play much of a part, obviously he's gone, we can talk about that later on as well. But yeah, it's the one thing I never think you're going to lack, but you did seem to lack quite bizarrely. You bought in Lukaku now, obviously. Do you think he can be the solution?
Well, yeah, I mean,
started well.
I mean, exactly, yeah, but I mean, the main difference last season to the couple of seasons prior under Van Gaal was the fact we were creating chances last season, but we just didn't put the ball in the back of the net, whereas previous seasons we weren't even creating chances. So there definitely was progress last season, definitely. And ironically enough, I know Zlatan put the ball in the back of the net 20-odd times last year for us, but some of his shot accuracy was pretty poor when you actually look at his stats. So I'm hoping that Lukaku is going to be a significant upgrade on that, and not just putting the ball in the back of the net. I think his movement, because Zlatan, obviously 35 years of age, not the most agile of players. He can't really move defenders about and what have you, and kept dropping deep. Whereas Lukaku seems to play right on up against the defenders, which are going to occupy a couple of them.
This is exactly what I was just about to say. I think that the main problem that you had, although Ibrahimovic was scoring goals, it felt like, how can I describe this? Like the team was built around him, but the system didn't particularly fit around him. I always think, under Mourinho in particular, not just at United, I think he plays a type of football where it's don't concede first and then grab a goal. And I think with Ibrahimovic, obviously that involves a lot of counter-attacking play. He just didn't have the pace about him to play on the counter, which is something that I think you will find under Lukaku, because you've got, outside of him and Ibrahimovic last season, you have got some pacey players. You've got Rashford, Mkhitaryan, Lingard, all those kind of players that can, that can spring an attack. But if the striker's not there, I suppose. So maybe that will be the answer.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I mean, who else did? Who have you signed?
Well, we signed.
Who have you signed there? You brought in
Lukaku and Lindelof, the centre back.
Lindelof, that was the other one. I was going to say I knew there was another one. Who else do you think you need to bring in? Do you think that's enough?
I mean, I think we need a proper CDM. I really think we need a proper CDM, especially
agree with that.
Having let go the likes of Schneiderlin, which I personally think was a little bit of a mistake, but one of them things.
Where's Schneiderlin gone?
He went to Everton in January.
I went to Everton. Sorry, that was last season, wasn't it? I was thinking recently he's been gone for ages.
No. He went to Everton, and I probably wouldn't have got rid of him if I'm perfectly honest, because we are quite light in numbers there. I know we're after Matic. Whether that goes through, what with us pulling one over on Chelsea, I don't know. And then I really hope we don't go in for Dyer, because the ridiculous 60 million.
The fee, it's as bad as us for Walker, isn't it?
But Walker's at least improving your side.
Yeah.
Whereas Eric Dyer wouldn't improve United's first team, in my opinion. I don't think he's that much of an improvement.
No, I agree. I think the main reason you need a CDM as well is, I think, to release Pogba. Because I think Pogba, for me, I've spoken about this before on the channel, outside, like just talking about football in general. To me, I know Pogba, a lot of people, and I agree, didn't have a great season last season. I know you think I think we spoke about this on Twitter, where you think he did a bit better than I think, but I think that part of the reason he got held back was because he had more defensive responsibility, and I think that's something that you need to take the shackles, almost very similar to us with Yaya Toure in the past, where he needs to be relieved of that defensive rubbish, let him get forward, and then he can cause damage. I think so. I completely agree that I think you do need someone to sit in there, which is something I think Carrick's done in the past. But
the problem with Carrick is, obviously, he's
not mobile. He's not mobile.
He's not as mobile as he once was, and I think Mourinho likes to have a physical presence in that central defence. When we had Matic, he had Makalele back in the day. He had Khedira, I think it was, at Real Madrid, I believe.
Yeah, possibly.
He likes that physical presence, and I think that's one thing United have been lacking for a while. I know we got Fellaini, but let's face it, he's bloody useless.
So. I mean, I don't think that's just United. I think the Premier League in general is just a physical league, isn't it? I think if you look at our team, I think the person that does that for us really well is Fernandinho. He's really mobile. He's almost like a mini Kante, not quite on Kante's level. I'm not saying that, but he's the kind of player that runs around the pitch, will win the ball back, and just sort of pass it on. And I do think that's something you've not had for a while. I think Fosun Mensah's got the potential to do it in the future. He looks like a decent little player, but whether he will, that's obviously...
He just needs game time at this point, I think.
Yes, he certainly does. The next question I'm going to ask you, David De Gea, will he stay? I really hope he doesn't, for obvious reasons. I would love it if De Gea left, because I think he's unreal. It really annoyed me, to be honest. I'll say my piece first. It really annoyed me, because he was meant to be going. Was it last season or the season before? And then it was like the whole thing with the paperwork all fell through, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, just let him go. Just let him go. And then he stays, does well again, and I just wish he'd be gone. I really do. Do you think you managed to hold on to him again? Because Madrid are sniffing again, aren't they, supposedly?
There's always a risk with De Gea, as there probably is with any Spanish player you bring over and performs well.
100%.
You get Barcelona or Real Madrid sniffing around him. It's always kind of a dream for Spanish players, I'm guessing, to go over there and play for those two above anybody else. So it is always going. There's always a risk, but I do feel that I think we're in a stronger place to keep De Gea this time as we were when he almost did go.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think he prefers being under Mourinho than he did maybe under Van Gaal. Because Van Gaal I don't know, it just didn't seem to be quite as much of a man manager as Mourinho.
I was just about to say that, just about to say, yeah.
So, but I do expect him to go eventually. I really do expect him to go eventually.
How old is he, De Gea? I don't know. He's still quite young, isn't he?
I think he's mid-20s, 25, 26.
Yeah, so he's got years ahead of him in the keeper. And if he can keep him, it's massive. Like last season, it's not technically a signing, but it's as good as a signing, because he's the best keeper in the league. So when you got the best keeper in the league, because that was another thing I was saying earlier about your defence. I said that as your weak spot, but you can get past the defence, you've got to get bloody De Gea after, haven't you? And sometimes that's a lot easier said than done, unfortunately. But what do you hope for next season? Do you think you can... see, last season I thought you were going to challenge for the title. You bought in Ibra. I thought they've got a challenge for the title. They've got Ibra in, obviously, massive name, huge signing, free transfer as well, like incredible bit of business.
Yeah.
Do you think you can go on and do it this time round?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why not. We have strengthened the side up what we needed to strengthen. We struggled to score goals. We've brought what I would say a improved striking option.
Yeah, City are in a similar position to that, I think, where we've plugged in our holes that I think we needed to fill in.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them for now. Still a bit to go. But we're getting there.
But yeah, like I say, I feel that we should. First of all, we should be competing for the league title.
And
I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to. I also think we should be looking at getting towards. Now we're back in it. Towards at least the knockout stages of the Champions League, arguably looking hopefully towards the latter stages. I don't see any reason.
That's just look at the draw to an extent. I think just look at the draw.
It is. When it gets to the knockouts, it's kind of it's just pure luck.
You can win your group and still be screwed over, can't you? It just depends how you fall.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be challenging for the title this season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I say, I think I was surprised he didn't compete more this season, just gone. But at the same time, you took your foot off the gas when it had gone to an extent. You very much went for Europa League, didn't you? Which was a massive gamble that did pay off. Because a lot of people had commented to me saying, like, last season, do you think City had the more successful season or United? Because obviously we'd finished above you, but you'd won 2 trophies and still qualified for Champions League. And to me, that's a no-brainer. Like, football is about winning silverware. So if you're winning silverware and still getting your objective, that's a good season. And I don't think, I think at the start of last season, if you'd have said to Mourinho, what's the objective? I think you would have said to win the league. I don't think you would have said we want to get top 4. No. But it's still a good season to get 2 trophies and get top 4.
I mean, it's not a bad first season in charge, is it? Let's be honest.
No, not at all.
Like I say, I mean, City, I'd say, probably had about a similar season to us last year. Even though we got,
it's a big difference not having 2 trophies though. It was a poor season. If you come 3rd and 4th and win nothing, that's not great. I mean, the only way I can summarise it is there's so many teams going for the title. And obviously, when the season kicks off, you've got arguably you've got United, City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham. I'd put Tottenham in that category now, and Liverpool all want to win the league, all want to get that first place. Only one team can get it. So after that, the next best thing is to get 2nd, 3rd or 4th, which I don't think makes that much difference apart from pride stakes, whether you're 2nd, 3rd or 4th. So if you can win a trophy as well as doing that, that's it's not bad, is it, by any stretch of the imagination? So, but yeah, I've said before, I think you had a much better season than us just because you won those 2 trophies, to be honest. But for pride's sake, obviously finishing above you is nice, and it's been quite some time since you've finished above us, which is also something I like to cling on to. I think the last time you finished above us was when you actually won the league itself.
Yeah, Ferguson's last year, that would have been it.
Yeah. I mean, the next question, I'm going to answer this one first to give you a bit of a time to think. I asked Max this exact same question. If you could take, no limits, if you could take one player from City to put into the United team, who would you take? I think this is an interesting question. Vice versa, if I was to take a player from United, who would I bring to City now? I've been asked this before from the United City point of view. Although, because when I was speaking to Max about this, I was saying I think it depends what position you were weak in. Now, obviously, we'd say you'd need a centre-back, so Bailly could be an option. You might say we need another striker, so someone like Rashford could be an option. But I think, from my point of view, I'd take Pogba every day of the week, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I think, firstly, he's perhaps one of the only players in world football that could be a natural successor to Yaya Toure in the way that he plays. Obviously, Yaya Toure's getting on there.
Yeah, you can see that.
Did really well last season, in fairness, because he got cast out of the team at the beginning, and then obviously brought back in and did quite a good role. But I think Pogba could fill those boots, good physicality and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I just think he's an incredible player as well. I mean, I think he had a poor season last year for the fee that he was bought in for and everything, but there's no doubting he's a quality player. So if you're asking me, I would take Pogba from United to City if you could take anyone.
Fair enough. I'm surprised you didn't go for De Gea.
Yeah, if you hadn't bought Ederson, I know he made that mistake yesterday, let's not talk about that. I still think he's going to be good. I've still got faith. But if we hadn't bought in Ederson, I would have gone for De Gea. But the fact that we bought in a keeper, I'm not going to screw over Ederson just yet.
No, of course. Needs time to bed in and what have you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as... Again, I mean, funnily enough, the person you're probably not expecting me to pick, if we're looking at roles where we're lacking at United, is Fernandinho.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's not the big name. I mean, he's not the Aguero. He's not the De Bruyne. He's not the what have you. But he is what we are lacking, unfortunately. So obviously, Aguero would improve any team he comes into, in my opinion.
Definitely.
But if I had to pick one player to fit in to that United side, would be Fernandinho, because like I said, that's the only player, that's the only position I would say that we're lacking where you're stronger, I would say massively stronger than us.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, there's two ways to look at it. It's the way of we need a player in this position, so we're going to take this player. So when I was talking to Max about this, Max was torn between Sane and De Bruyne, and it's not. He said it's not that they need another central midfielder. He's like, it's just because De Bruyne's that class where he would improve the team. So then that's like me saying about Pogba. We don't necessarily. If anything, we don't need another central midfielder. We've got like so many of them, but I'd still take Pogba in. But when I was talking to Max, I said I would take Alderweireld from Tottenham. I wouldn't take Kane. I wouldn't take Ali because we need another centre back, and I think he's the best centre back in the league, Alderweireld, in my opinion. And I'd say you've gone for the similar thing of taking Fernandinho. And I do think, like you say, although he's not the most glamorous player, fans love a player that puts a shift in, and he fits into that category where if you run your bollocks off of the team, the fans will like it. Like Milner was the same. Milner was exactly the same. Not the prettiest player, but you put a shift in, and the fans are gonna enjoy that.
Definitely. I mean, we had back in the day, Alan Smith.
Not
really.
He had a horrible leg break.
He did.
Alan Smith had a horrible leg break.
Liverpool. He's playing. Yeah. I think he's managing at Notts County now. But he was another one where wasn't the greatest of players, but ran his backside off every single game, gave 110%, and ended up being one of my favourite players to watch at United at the time.
Yeah, well, I used to love. From a similar point of view, you might be able to see on one of the shirts behind me. I've got a Nigel de Jong t-shirt, and t-shirt, you know what I mean, like City shirt, and that was exactly the same. You love a player that gets stuck in for the team. Other people might say he's horrible, he's a wanker, you know, because I'll never forget when he broke Ben Alpha's leg, and that was absolutely horrendous at the time. And I think in the World Cup final as well, he like karate kicked someone in the chest, something like that. But when it's for your team, and it's chopping down the attackers and stopping them getting a break on, you love it. You absolutely love it because it's what you need to get the job done. And I think there's times since where I've watched City, and 9 times out of 10 when you watch City play for 90 minutes, so you're at the match, we'll camp a team in, and we just like finding the killer pass, and you'll have them captain and a half and captain and a half. And I know United are similar, obviously, and I think sometimes we're so soft where, and this is especially when Fernandinho's been out, where the team will get the ball, they'll go for the counter-attack, which is where we've been punished so often over the last couple of seasons, and no one will just take one for the team. And you think, just take him down, just to chop him down, get men back, and then we can defend again. But so often, especially with the players we've got, like Otamendi loves diving out of defence to try and win the ball early. So before you know it, counter-attack's opened up, Otamendi's out the game, and then you've got one defender back because usually the fullbacks are pushed on as well, and we get absolutely screwed over. So I think that's invaluable having someone that can do that for the team, and that's why, like I said, Fernandinho proves so popular. I mean, I forgot what I was going to ask now. It was more along the lines of obviously I'm quite jealous of the fact, like, growing up, when I was at school, everyone supported United. You had that incredible generation of players, obviously, Beckham, Scholes, Giggs, all that lot. And if you could bring one of them back in his prime now, who would you have in the United team? Would that be a matter of what position you need? Or would that just be, have you got like a favourite player out of that bunch? Or?
Hands down Scholes.
Hands down Scholes.
Hands down. Best player I've ever seen at United.
Really? God, that's a bold statement, the players you've had as well.
It's either him or Ronaldo was the best technical player I've ever seen play for United. And obviously being a local lad from round near me, obviously that gives him a bit more of a kind of allure. I think on that subject, a local lad in the United City game yesterday was that Phil Foden that played for us, and he looks like an incredible talent. And he's another local lad. I think he's from Stockport, only 17, and you think, I really hope he gets a chance in the team, because, like I said, I didn't stop to watch the game last night. I'm not as mental as you, but I did watch the highlights this morning, and there was a couple of times. There was one in particular. I think he turned Nando Herrera. It's like, if you know. Yeah, he had a very good first half. Did he go off in second? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I've only seen the highlights, like I said, Fudgy, so I'm not entirely sure. But he made a good impression from all reckoning what I've seen of it.
But I mean, the good thing is, for not just United or City, but for the city of Manchester itself, United and City have got two phenomenal groups of young players coming through at under 18 level. United have got like so many excellent prospects. City have got so many excellent prospects. They hang out together anyway as friends. Yeah. So it's going to be a phenomenal boost to
Manchester
hope that
itself. The problem is you hope they get given a chance, because in modern day football, taking a risk with a young player you can lose a manager a job, can't it? Because it's that cutthroat right now. So you've got to have the faith in the players to give them a chance. And it's frustrated me where,
of course it can.
like this is like a prime example right now. Obviously, we've got rid of Zabaleta, obviously fantastic player for us, but he's moving on to West Ham.
Yeah.
Sandy's gone, never made a good impression, so we've got no right backs. Obviously brought in Kyle Walker for one. At left back, we got rid of Clichy. Kolarov looks like he's on the way out as of today as well. I don't understand why we don't buy Kyle Walker, buy Mendy, and then like give got lads Angelino and Maffio that look like they could be half decent in the future. Why not, instead of going out and spending 25 million on Ryan Bertrand, instead of spending 30 million whatever on Danilo, why not give them young players a chance to come in? Because especially, this sounds a bit bad and maybe a bit naive, but especially at right back and left back, because I'd say that's the one position you can get away with it to an extent, in my opinion, because it's not the most important position on the pitch, is it, by any stretch? But I don't see why they're not giving a chance a bit more, and that's one thing I think United have always done incredibly well in the past, haven't they? I mean, I'll never forget. Go on, what were we going to say? You go first.
No, I was just going to say, we've got this ridiculous record where we've had a player in the first team squad of every game or something, from at least one player from the academy in every single first team game for like the past 40 years almost, or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I was going to recall when we played you in the in the Community Shield, and I'm going back three or 4 years now. I think we've just won the league. We might be when we won the FA Cup, I can't remember now. But your starting 11 was made up, it had like, bearing in mind this is 3 or 4 years ago now, we had like Lingard in there, who was very new on the scene at the time. Welbeck was in there, and it's like, as a City fan, not knowing that much about the United squad and everything, I was like, who are these people? Who are these people that have come into the team? Never heard of him before. I can't remember who else is in the team. Lingard's the main one I remember. I think Paddy McNair might have started on the day as well. And I was just sitting there thinking, we're going to stop these, surely, because look at our team. We had quite a strong team at the time. Well, still have now, but you know what I mean. Compared to your team on the day, and I think you beat us 2-1, something like that. You actually beat us on the day, and it was like, where have these players come from that have done a job on that day? And you seem to have such a record of it. And I don't understand. Like, I think United have always done so well in the past, which I don't think you did last season, actually, unless there's someone I'm missing. I think you had Januzaj out on loan, but you always used to loan a player out to like a lower down Premier League team to get them the experience. They do really well there, and I'm thinking back to the likes of, what's the player that you loaned out in the Premier League that did well? I can't think who it was now.
We locked Welbeck out at the time.
Welbeck was out. There's another one that did really well. I can't remember who it was now that it's gone, but it just bothers me that City don't do that. Like I say, like if you we always seem to loan players out to Holland, to Spain, to Italy, and I think that some of the players, surely they get into a team like a Sunderland last season or someone like that, and even if they go down, it's incredible experience to be starting in the Premier League into, obviously. So I don't see they do that more often, and that's really irritating now that I can't remember who it was that you loaned out. It might have been Welbeck that I was thinking of, actually. It might have been Welbeck. Did Lingard, was he loaned out in the Premier League at some point?
No, he was
at Birmingham, wasn't he?
He was at Birmingham, Derby, a couple of other places.
Yeah. But yeah, it just frustrates me that we loan these players out abroad, and I think surely that someone like West Brom would take some of these players.
That's it. You'd have hoped so. But then at the same point, you've got these smaller clubs that want players that they own, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just about to say, at the same time, if it's that easy, I'm sure they do it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Plus,
from that point of view.
Plus, let's remember that we're probably paying these young kids arguably what some of the mid-table teams are paying their top earners, or at least the stalwarts, if you will. So, so it's a bit of a risk, really, if you're thinking of bringing a young kid in.
And like I say as well, the same applies to them. Where I was saying, just if that player does poorly and he's not good enough, they could get the sack. That's what it comes down to. Because I think especially for Guardiola this season, which is why I'm a bit worried. I mean, Foden being a prime example, I would love it if he was loaned out. I mean, he's only 17. I don't want to overhype him too much, but if he's good enough, I would love it if he was loaned out to like a Brighton, someone like that, someone like a Brighton that's just come up to get the first team experience. Because Guardiola's come out and he said, I think there's 2 or 3 players that he thinks could be good enough or are good enough to get in the first team, like and bench and everything, like the squad. And I think now Foden, Sancho, and I can't remember the other one. Sancho apparently could be going to Arsenal, unfortunately. Really? It's a bit of a contract. I didn't get them out. He has a bit of a contract still at the moment, supposedly. It will, because he's meant to be another very good young player. I can't remember who the other one is now. But there were these 3 players, and he's like, they could be part of the first team. But in all honesty, if by first team he means they're going to play in the League Cup, and that's it, I would rather them, like someone like Foden, be loaned out to a Brighton, to a Newcastle, to a Huddersfield, someone like that, where perhaps he gets in the first team, plays week in, week out, and then comes back a better player next year, rather than, so some might say like training alongside Aguero, Son, people like that will make him a better player, but I just think you can't beat match play myself. Definitely. You can't beat playing in the Premier League for experience, can you, surely?
Definitely not. But at the same point, you've got a kind of whilst he was very impressive last night, Foden. You've got to kind of...
It's one game, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well?
It's one game, and also...
Yeah, one half, even if he did go off.
Yeah, and he's still... Let's not forget, at 17, you're still developing your physicality, really. You're still developing your figure. I mean, we've got Angel Gomez at United. He's 16 years old. And he's about the size of my 10-year-old nephew or whatever. So he's got a lot of growing, as in actual
growing.
Yeah, he's actual growing rather than
physicality, like you say.
Yeah,
and you don't want to put pressure on them as well at that age as well, do you? At the same time,
yeah, exactly.
You just don't want to. You don't want to, put all this expectation on. Because it's difficult for anyone, never mind a kid, which they are kids basically. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just exciting from a City point of view, because we've obviously had this massive academy built up. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, and the intention has been for the players to come through the academy and be good enough to get into the first team, and then we wouldn't have to spend as much money on bringing in the players like we have been. Like this summer, the money we are spending is outrageous again. I mean, we do need it. We do need it, because I think I am pleased that we're buying the players in positions that we need, the wing backs, the goalkeeper, etc. So. But I just think the market's gone mad. I mean, when you look at Walker, 50 million, Sigurdsson's been quoted at 50 million, like you were saying earlier, Eric Dyer, 60 million, and it's got to the point where I think if you want a player that badly, just stump it up and get him rather than fanning around. So
pretty much.
It's just exciting to see a player that could genuinely have the potential come through and be a part of that first team. So hopefully, because I think Foden, it is likely. I mean, we've got Alex Garcia as well, I think. I was really gutted when we lost Denis Suarez. He went somewhere in Spain and he's at Barcelona now. He was another one that looked like he could be good enough, but you just want to see him in there. Like you were saying earlier, there's something special about having a local English player come to the team compared to like bringing in a foreign player. It's just that bit more special, isn't it?
Of course it is.
But next question that we start off with, not start off with, but you know what I mean. Have you got a favourite Manchester derby that's been over the last, since ever? Like how long have you been following football? I imagine you've been following it all your life, so you've seen some pretty good times, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I could say the immediate one that springs to mind is the 5-0 back in 95.
See, that's before my time. Yeah, I was only 4 then, so thankfully I didn't experience that too much.
I was only 10.
Yeah.
Then probably the most recent one that was probably the one that I enjoyed the most was the one where Van Persie scored in the last minute. That free kick.
And Nasri put it out in the wall. Oh, yeah, I love Nasri, but that was poor.
Deflection off him. Yeah.
But he turned his back, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's probably the one that immediately springs to mind, because it was a good derby. Both teams were quite well matched. It wasn't one team kind of getting in front and kind of shutting up shop, if you will. But we've done just as much as anybody else at times last couple of years.
Yeah,
but
I think.
But yeah,
go on, sorry.
But yeah, like I said, that's the one that immediately springs to mind, because it was actually a good derby. It had everything you needed, really.
I think if you ask me my worst derby memories, there's 2 that spring to mind. One that I was at and one that I was at home for. Like, I wasn't at the match, but the one I was at was one where, because at the time, I don't think you do it as much as you used to. It was under Ferguson at the time. You had this big reputation for winning games in the last minute, coming from the death out of nowhere, and you'd get these 95th minute goals. And I remember when Scholes scored one against us to win a game, and I was absolutely heartbroken. And Michael Owen as well. There was one where Michael Owen had gone to you. And that was where I was at home, and I thought, because at the time, obviously, this is before we'd been taken over. If we beat you or got a draw, it was an incredible result for us at the time. Obviously, you were a much better team than us at this time. So, for us to get a result was unbelievable, and to have it snatched away on both those occasions was absolutely, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. But both of those ones stick in my mind.
Yeah.
And then I think the 2 memorable ones, obviously the one where we absolutely tonked you at Old Trafford. I'll never forget that one. I wasn't there, but that was an unbelievable game. I still think that's probably our best City side that we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
When you look at the players that we had in there, what I think was the prime on the pitch that there. I think Aguero was in his prime. I don't think he's ever hit. I know he scored more goals than he's ever scored for us last season, but I think that was Aguero in his prime. David Silva was in his prime. Kompany was in his prime.
Tevez.
And I think the spine of our team then was unbelievable. But I think the other one that I remember, I don't know what year it was. I think we beat you 3-1, and it was on where Gary Neville lost it in the corner.
Oh,
Sean Goethe robbed him with the ball.
Something like that.
Speaking of that. You met him, didn't you, the other night, Sean Goethe? So what match were you at then?
It was a United reserves side, really, United youth side, and they do it every year. They come to Salford, which is not that far from me. And because obviously class of '92 own Salford, so
because he does a lot of the. I know Gota does a lot of the Radio Manchester stuff. Because when we go up, so I'm not from Manchester, obviously. So when we travel to the games, we have the radio, stick Radio Manchester on when we get nearby, and they have like a blue Monday and then a red Tuesday, so they like swap people on. I know Sean Goat is usually on that front, and he's always talking about the local teams and everything like that.
Right, but yeah, like I say, came and sat down next to me. And
that would have given me a shock, I'll tell you that.
Sound guy, decent lad, very good.
I think I don't think I've met him. I think my dad's met him at Wembley, because obviously when you get to the cup finals and everything, you tend to get all the old players coming out and everything. If you're lucky enough, you'll bump into some of them. But have you ever met any United players? Any of the old school ones or the newer ones?
My claim to fame is I got my degree given to me by Gary Neville.
Oh no way! That's quite cool. I've also met Gary Neville.
Yeah, he was getting getting a doctorate of some description, so I got my degree given to me by him. He's probably one of, if not, he's up there with Scholes as my favourite player, because I used to play right back as well back in the day.
Oh right, yeah.
And obviously he's even closer to me in Bury. There's him.
I actually, we met him, believe it or not, this is again, back about 3 years now. It was when he started working for Sky in the football, and we were walking up to the stadium for the City game, and he just happened to be like there, walking up with us. He was like just in front of us, and it's the kind of thing, obviously, where City's United in.
Yeah.
You want to not like the bloke, but he was so nice. He was ever so pleasant about it all, and he must have been inside. He must have been crapping himself a bit, walking through all the City fans and everything. But it wasn't directly at the stadium. It was walking up to the stadium. But had a bit of a chat about the football, and he was ever such a nice bloke. Honestly, he was ever such a nice man.
Yeah. But I mean,
and it's always quite nice when that happens.
That's it. Because you don't want to meet people you've idolised and end up being an idiot. So
my dad met Marcel Desailly outside of the ground. I wasn't at that game, and he said he was an absolute knob. He said he had no time with for anybody. Yeah, he said he didn't want to speak to anyone, just wanted to get in. And it's very rarely the case. Most of the time, the ex-footballers will chat to and everything. But it's 9 times out of 10. But Neville was ever so nice, ever so pleasant, and I do like him as a pundit as well.
Oh yeah,
on Sky, I quite enjoy him as that.
Really, in my opinion.
It really when he first came on the scene as a pundit, I'll never forget, because obviously having like people like Armory, Neville, Carragher, it brings like a bit of nostalgia, experience from being footballers themselves, and it always amazed me. He spoke about the kind of things that they did in training, and it was such a simple idea that the kind of thing that I'd never thought would be a thing, if that makes sense. He was talking about when he was at United, and he used to try and talking about stepping up at the right time and playing off side traps, and he said that all the defenders had to have a rope tied around the chest and they'd be tied to each other. So the idea was, when one defender stepped up, the rest to be dragged along with them. So that was like a really good way to apparently like get the team to get used to stepping up together, which I just thought, that to an extent blew my mind. I was like, what? Whoever came up with that was genius. Like such a novel idea, just tie the defenders together and they'll just drag each other forward. And he said it worked. He was like, you get used to it, and
that's it.
That is like the kind of thing that you just can't imagine, can you? Like the defenders just being all tied in and not together. But there you go. That proper impressed me, that did at the time. Is there anyone else that you bumped into or been lucky enough to meet?
Bumped into, ironically enough, when the last time I went watching United at Salford, I bumped into Scholes. So
he's got a stake there, haven't they? It's him, Neville, and everyone. Do they run the club? They do run the club.
Yeah, they own it. Scholes, the two Nevilles, Butt, and Giggs. So I bumped into Scholesy. Had a bit of a quick chat with him. It was when we'd signed. When we'd signed Di Maria and Falco and all that. And
I bet there was some positivity in it, wasn't there?
Well, Scholesy's not renowned for that. So he's walking, and my dad said to him, shouts over to him, "All right, Scholesy, what do you reckon about the new signings?" And this is when we just signed them, so like you said, positive. We're all positive. And Scholesy just turns around and says, "Yeah, we might finish 6th this year."
To be honest, it's unbelievable. Falcao, I remember saying at the time I'd take him at City, like when he was in his prime as Atletico, he was one of my favourite strikers in world football. I still love him now, so really pleased to see him doing well at Monaco. And when he did poor, like when he went to you, I was gutted, obviously, because not obviously being a City fan, not keen on United, so I don't like seeing players that I like going there. So when Falco went, I was gutted. So when he did poorly, I was a bit like, well, at least he hasn't done well. So then he went to Chelsea, and I was like, that's good. Hopefully he can do well in the Premier League this time. He just never did it, did he? He just never cut the mustard for one reason or another. It just never happened for him.
It's a shame, man. I mean, I can only speak from when he was at United, but we didn't really supply him with that many chances. I think if he was playing in this United side, he'd be banging them in.
Yeah.
Because
well, he's done well at Monaco, but it's a different league and it's different.
Yeah, but also, like I say, I mean, that's kind of the player we've been crying out for, is someone just to finish chances.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I think the last thing we'll talk about before quickfire, because this again, I said this to Max, 10 minutes was what the aim was again, but this has gone on a lot longer again.
Just a bit.
Rooney left to go to Everton. How would you describe his time here? Because he's got so much stick, hasn't he, over the last couple of years. He's a player that I despise, being a City fan.
Yeah.
Can't stand the bloke because he's caused so much flipping heartbreak over the last God knows how many years. He's been amazing for you, but I always thought when he dropped back into midfield that he'd do a job, but for one reason or another, he's just never quite fitted in again, has he, since?
Right.
When did he initially get dropped? It's been a long time, hasn't it? He's not been a part of the main team for, it seems, a long time now.
It's only the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'd say it was longer ago than that. I feel like even as long ago as Van Gaal. Did he play regularly under Van Gaal?
He was playing regularly for Van Gaal.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Which probably speaks volumes for how well he played.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. That struck me, because I thought he'd been dropped a little bit at that point.
I mean, when he first came to United, for those first 5-6 years, Rooney, he was borderline unplayable. Because
he peaked very early.
That's exactly what he did. He peaked incredibly early, and ever since then he's not maybe, like I said, especially the last 3 or 4 years, which might be something to do with the fact that Ferguson's not there, giving him a kick up the backside. I don't know.
Possibly.
But he's not been anywhere near the same player. And I mean, obviously he's rubbed. It's weird, Rooney, because you've got a certain percentage of United fans that, whilst they've admired him playing for United, cheered him and all that sort of stuff, he'll never be regarded as in the same bracket as the likes of Beckham, Scholes, Giggs.
Yeah. So
he just won't
this
be.
is where it's...
Whereas,
I'm put in a little bit here before you carry on. I think it's similar with England, isn't it? Because he's like the top scorer for England, yet he's not regarded as...
No.
People hate him, don't they? People like say he's been awful, he's crap, he never turns up, but he's England's top scorer, which is, it's unbelievable to think that you could do that well and being United's top scorer as well and still split opinion. Really.
I mean, the whole England top goal scorer is a bit ridiculous in my opinion, because let's face it,
it's all qualifiers.
How many of them goals were against Liechtenstein and
I agree with you on that, Starner.
But getting back onto him at United, he just, I don't know, I think the worst thing that was ever done is made him captain, to be honest, because...
Really?
Yeah, because he just doesn't... Your captain should be basically an extension of the fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
Whereas Rooney he never really kind of accepted that role, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. And you can see now, he's been at Everton for, 2 weeks? And he's already done more engracing himself with Everton's fan base than he did for 10 years at United, because he's an Everton fan.
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult. Yeah. Like I think, like you say in his... oh, my phone's ringing. Bear with me just a second. I'll cancel that. Cancel that. It's quite strange, because... I've lost my train of thought now. Like you were saying about Rooney not being fit to be, not fit to be the captain. That's not the word he used. But like to me, a captain should embody work hard on the pitch, do everything for the team, which Rooney did do. I think when he was in his prime, he worked his socks off for the team. Yeah. But I've never thought of it as like how you've just described it, which just makes sense, because when you look at City, Vincent Kompany absolutely embodies the club, which is what you want from a captain. So I've never thought of it like that, to be honest. I was just I don't know. I always.
Well,
when he went, I always thought it was obvious that he was going to be the captain, if that's the right way to say it. I always think when he went there and started doing well, I always thought, well, he's going to be the captain, isn't he? It's obvious.
Believe it or not, I think it might have been written in his contract.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Because he was going to leave beforehand, because it was when Ferguson had left. So he was going to be going out the door, Rooney, and Moyes, who came in, got him to stay, got him signed the new contract, and then he was captain. So it wouldn't be surprised me if he was.
The other thing I was gonna touch on with this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Because everyone was saying this. I'll say this now. When I did this with Max, everyone was saying I interrupted too much. So I'm really trying not to interrupt and get too carried away here. But with Rooney, I think it's quite strange that you think of a player going back to the club where the star hurted. You think of players coming to the end of their retirement. He's still only 31, isn't he? He could have a long time ahead.
I don't think he is.
I do think he's quite. Yeah, so I was talking to someone about this the other day. There is the side of it where I think he's given so much work his socks off so hard that they couldn't see him playing like a Lampard or a Gerrard where they kept on going and going and going.
First of all, he's been playing football practically every game he could since he was 18.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, a player doesn't usually do that till they're in the early 20s.
That's very true. That's very true.
As far as miles on the clock, he's probably got the body of a 34-year-old, 35-year-old.
This is what we were talking about before.
And then you couple into the fact that whereas Ronaldo, I'm using Ronaldo as a kind of an example, but Ronaldo takes care of himself. He's training during pre-season. He's coming back leaner.
Yeah. Model professional. He's a model professional, isn't he? Model
whereas Rooney smokes, or he did for a long period, drinks. Doesn't really take care of himself, comes back overweight to pre-season training on several occasions. So that's going to take a toll on him as well. So I think that all coupled together, that's why I think he's lost the spark that Rooney once had.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's like you say, I think it's the player time more than anything, isn't it? Like you were saying, just a lot of players don't see first team football till maybe even early 20s, but he's been there the whole time. I did say that was going to be the last question. You brought up Ronaldo. I've got to end on this. Can you see him ever coming back to United? Do you think he'll ever return?
I would.
I know. Before you start, I know Mourinho said it was an impossible deal to bring him back this summer, which really made me laugh because I was like, well. He was like, we want to. I was like, yeah, we all fucking want him. I'd take him at the City. We all want him, but it's a different kettle of fish getting him, isn't it?
That's it. If there was any chance, I would book a flight to Madrid and give him a piggyback ride from the Bernabeu to Old Trafford. But there is no chance. No chance.
Do you not think he'll ever come back? Ever?
Maybe for a one-off game, like a charity game or something like that.
Not even last season? Could not even see finishing off one last season?
Nah, I think he'll be in the MLS earning ridiculous amounts of money by then. Yeah.
See, I always assumed he was going to come back, but hoped he didn't, because I think we'll talk about this quickly, very briefly. I think because you've been to a lot of United games, you go to a lot of the matches, don't you, in person yourself? Yeah.
Ronaldo, I've never met him. No.
No, but you know what I mean. Like you've seen him play.
Oh, right.
In
Sorry, I
person,
thought you said you met him. No, I wish I had.
No, not been that lucky. No, I think when you're watching football in the stands, it's very different to when you watch it on television. Because firstly, you got the atmosphere, but not talking about the atmosphere. Just talking about you can tell when a phenomenal player is a level above everyone else on that pitch. And Ronaldo, I've seen him play about 5 or 6 times. Every single time I've seen him play, because I saw him play for Real Madrid when we played them in the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
He just seems quicker than everyone.
Definitely.
He seems stronger than everyone.
Definitely.
And I think there's a handful of players that I put in that bracket. I've seen, Ronaldo, Bale, Suarez. I would put in that category. I think I'd even put this is someone say this is biased, but when Yaya Touré was in his prime and we won the league, nobody could touch him. Nobody could touch him. It was like men against boys at times. And I think when you're in the stands, you can tell when someone is a level above. And like I said, there's very few players that you see that you think are phenomenal. And to me, Ronaldo, even when he was at United, and he was, at the time when he was at United, obviously this is before we'd been taken over and we didn't have the best team in the world, and he'd be like running at players at left back. I think we had. I can't remember who it was now that we had at left back, but if someone like the Michael Ball, and you're thinking, how the fuck is Michael Ball going to cope with Cristiano Ronaldo today? He's got no chance of this. He's got no chance in hell, because he was just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Definitely.
And, is there any players that you'd put in that bracket to end it off, other than Ronaldo that you've seen?
The only other player, because I've never seen Messi live, unfortunately.
I've seen Messi. Messi's another one I've seen, definitely in that bracket. Unbelievable. I actually say, we played Barcelona and he scored a hat-trick and had a bad game, which is something in it. If you can have a bad game and score a hat-trick, that's ridiculous, really.
You can put that down to you guys. You probably had a plan and you probably carried it off to perfection.
Yeah, on that game, I believe we actually played Di Michaelis, who man-marked him perfectly out of the game. He had an incredible match, then got sent off, and it all went tits up from there. But yeah, is there any players you put in that category?
The only player that I would say that I've been sat in a stadium and had the same kind of excitement when he gets the ball was original Ronaldo.
Original? Oh, you see Ronaldo play? That Ronaldo? When was that?
Yeah, 2003. We played Real Madrid in the Champions League, and he single-handedly put them through. He scored an hat-trick against us.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I think I do
absolutely,
think I remember that day.
And arguably that probably wasn't him at his peak. He was his peak was probably 2 years prior to that, but he was absolutely frightening.
I think, because in my mind, I've got this little checklist that I have in my head where I want to see as many of as many world-class players in the flesh as I can. So before we played Barcelona in the Cup, I actually flew out to Spain and I went to see a Barcelona game just to see
nice.
Messi. And can you believe it? He was injured for the day. Didn't even play. So I was absolutely devastated. But thankfully I've seen him since at City. But I think the one player I'd have loved to have seen was Ronaldinho. I never got the chance to say. I would have loved to see him play because watching clips and matches on telly at the time, one of my favourite players of all time. And I think he would have gone into that category.
Definitely. Unfortunately, I didn't. I think we missed out on him. I don't think I saw him live.
I'm very lucky because in the modern game, I don't think there's anyone like Ibrahimovic was another one that I really wanted to see, and obviously him going to you, that's happened. Unfortunately, it had to be that he went to you, and I didn't want that as well because he's another player that I used to really like. I still do really like, but there's not many that I've not seen, but because I've been quite lucky with obviously a lot of them are in the Premier League anyway, and then with Champions League as well. If you get lucky with the draw, like when Champions League comes around, I'm the kind of person I'm like, give us Real Madrid, give us Barcelona. I'd rather go and see the best players than
if you're going to win it,
Standard Liège.
Yeah, if you're going to win it, you want to beat the best teams. So
yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to round up the talk. This has gone on for like how long have we been recording now? Look, an hour.
Near enough.
Oh God, it's so easy to get carried away, isn't it? But I'd like to say that was good. We kept that nice and civil as well. City United, that was good. We kept it still. But
only
a few questions to end it off on. Yeah, well, that's very true. That's very true. First one, top 4 predictions for next year. In fact, no, first, where do you think United are going to finish in the league next season? United alone, what position?
If we sign a CDM, I'll say first.
I will say as well, same thing I said for Max, it is very difficult to say right now because obviously there's transfer window left to go, and one signing could change everything. Could absolutely change everything, like you said, just with the CDM. Top 4 predictions in general. So if you're going for United to be top if you sign a CDM, what do you think the top 4 in general will be?
I'm not sure what will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but I think the top... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 and 4. but I do think it'll be in whatever order. I think it'll be United, City, Chelsea... And
it's difficult.
I'd probably say Tottenham, but
it's difficult because everyone's got Europe, haven't they? Now there's no one that's not got Europe.
That's why I don't think Arsenal will get in. But I think Tottenham will get in. But I think one of the real surprise packages could be Everton.
Oh, definitely. They've bought well. They've only got Europa League, which I was talking to somebody about earlier, and I was saying I think Europa League could be a blessing for them in the same way that it was for Harry Kane at Tottenham, because the likes of Tom Davies that are coming through will probably get a lot of European experience there. But next question, I've got them written down here. What we got going on there? Oh, to go down, obviously, to get relegated to win a Prem. Again, a long way to go in the transfer window. Is there anyone that's... The
immediate one that springs to mind is Huddersfield. Because they really... I think they've come up a little bit too soon. And
I agree with that.
I don't think the squad's capable of surviving, unfortunately. I think it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. It is, because there's transfer.
My 3, obviously there's transfer window left, so anything could change. But my 3, and I've thought about this a fair bit, are Swansea if they lose Sigurdsson, and then I think Huddersfield and Brighton. Because I think Newcastle could do well. I think they've got a squad on paper.
I think Newcastle, they've got everything there to survive in the Premier League, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But that's not a bad shout, that, because I thought Swansea were destined to go down last year.
I mean, especially if they lose. But the thing is, if they lose Sigurdsson and bring in decent players, they could have hope. But I can't see them doing that. I think if they lose Sigurdsson, I just can't see them bringing.
True.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like there's a lot of players that come in that don't cut the mustard, aren't they? And I always think, when you're a team like City or United, you can spend money. You can afford to take a couple of risks, can't you? On players, the likes of Bebe, the likes of Roque, Santa Cruz that don't do well. Whereas at Swansea, if you take the risk and they don't do well, you're screwed.
Yeah,
because you've got nothing to fall back on, obviously, have you?
Pretty much. That's it, yeah.
Are you going for the same 3 then?
Swansea, I would probably say the same 3, to be honest. I know it's a bit of a cop-out.
I think they're the standout. Now, I honestly think they're the standout choices. I really do. And Champions League and Europa League to finish it off. Anyone that you fancy early doors on that? Everton, we were talking about Everton, but I think they'll use it as a youth thing.
No, I don't think Everton will win Europa League. No. I think Arsenal could win Europa League, to be perfectly honest. As far as the Champions League, I'm
going to look back on all these predictions. I'm going to look back on all these predictions when the season's finished. That everyone said someone will have got it right. Someone will have got it right.
I mean, I would say. I don't think you can look past Real Madrid, to be perfectly honest.
No, I agree to an extent.
Gaining it again. But
I do think Bayern Munich have made some incredible signings.
They have. James Rodriguez could be a really shrewd signing.
Taliso's been a very good signing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like I say, I think those two are the standouts. I don't think Barcelona have really strengthened that much. They've got Semedo in at right back, but nothing other than him really.
They're linked with Coutinho as of today.
I know.
Or yesterday. See, if Liverpool again, we were talking about transfers changing how we predict. If Liverpool lose Coutinho, massive game changer. Massive game changer.
Mid-table at best if they lose him.
But, yeah, he's an incredible player for.
He's the main player.
Yeah, without doubt, without doubt.
But yeah, like I say, I don't think you can look past the likes of, like you say, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid.
It's the same every year.
It basically is. I mean, sometimes you get a little bit of a surprise package like Monaco. But one team that I do think could be dangerous in the next few years, because seeing as they're throwing money around left, right, and centre at the moment, is AC Milan.
AC Milan, yeah, they've made some signings that I think are unbelievable. So, for example, Çalhanoğlu, Bonucci, two very, very good signings there, just off the top of my head. But then
Bonucci went for 35 million.
Unbelievable. We were talking about City needing another centre back the other day. I'd have beat your hand off for Bonucci. I honestly would. But then they bought in like Fabio Borini. So
true,
two extremes there. There's two extremes of players there, but they have made some unbelievable signings. That's without doubt. But I think we're going to end it there. This has been an incredibly long video. So in fact, I've never done this before in a video. If you've watched to this point, comment down below. What can we say, Fudgy? Think of something random. Just a random one. Attack coconut. If you've watched this far, coconut in the comment section down below, because I will be impressed, because this has gone incredibly long, but it's always good to talk. Thanks for coming on, Fudgy. It's been very interesting. Very, very interesting. That's no problem at all. Like I said at the start, his links will be in the description down below. And yeah, let's put an end to this, Lance. Let's put an end to this. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Fudgy. And I'm stalling here. That's the end of the video, guys. Speak to you next time. Nidge out. Want to say bye, Fudgy? You want to end it up to another final word?
Adios.